Team Dark's version of Mystic Mansion is easily one of my least favorite levels in the game. In fact, it might be my least favorite, because there's so many different sections of the level that either range from cheap to just plain annoying and unintuitive. I remember I died pretty early on for this level because apparently invincibility frames were a myth. It's a good thing that the camera shows you that flip panel because it's so high up you would have missed it otherwise. But yeah, basically this isn't a very fun level, but at least it didn't drag on for as long as Hand Castle did. Like, the only real big problem with Hand Castle for Team Dark for me was the one place where I got stuck at. With this level, it's a whole bunch of different things. The trolley cart is just one problem. So, in SA1's Japanese script, Eggman said to Knuckles, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about with dying to an enemy and my invincibility frames being completely ignored. So that was pretty annoying. But yeah, when Knuckles confronted Eggman, basically Eggman said, I don't think you had time to die on a place like this. He never mentioned anything about sending him on a wild goose chase. That was sort of the localizer's idea. So Eggman looked less stupid in the Japanese version. When Knuckles saw Sonic and... oh yeah, this is bullshit. I died there because the game lied to me. Basically, it told me that I need to be the power type character when I was falling towards a pit, and it would have been better for me to be the flying type character. I was expecting to land on a fan that I'd have to glide. I wasn't expecting, like, at no point in this area is there any area that forces you to use a power type. What was the power icon put there in a... like, was the level altered after the power icon was put there and they just forgot to place it? That's sloppy design. But yeah, upon seeing Sonic and thinking it's Master Emerald Shard, Knuckles actually says, damn it, I can't let him have even one. He sounds very petty. And he is. There's no reason that he can't just be okay with Sonic finding shards for him. Like, why was he being so rivalry-esque with... like, shouldn't he have been happy that Sonic was apparently looking for Master Emerald shards for him? Why would he just assume that Sonic would try to use Master Emerald shards for evil? The old dialogue is barely changed for the Japanese version. Even for Eggman and Sonic pointing out that Knuckles was tricked. So Knuckles says, but what was that just now? Rather than saying, this is beginning to blow my mind. Which was a pretty stupid line after we got a flashback from Tikal. Well, not really a flashback. It's not like it was his past that he was reliving. Yeah, this section is pretty stupid. Like, that was the worst that the rail switching had ever screwed me over. And even then, I still survived because I was in the flight formation. I don't know what it is about these hangars that makes them so awkward to grab onto with the flying type. You'd think it would be easier since you have like 3 characters on top of each other, and so your hitbox is taller. See, this is what frustrates me, is they tell you about breaking cracked walls here when it's blatantly obvious that you have to break a cracked wall because you're surrounded by nothing but them. But they don't tell you about breaking the cracked wall in Hand Castle. I think I'm a little late in pointing this out, but it doesn't really make any sense to have all these fans in the level design to begin with. Like, it's good that they're having level design that takes proper advantage of all the different characters, like flip panels and fans and stuff. But these are gimmicks that don't really make sense in where they are. Did Eggman make those fans? Is that why they're here? Is that why there's giant fans in a haunted mansion? I mean, in other games, you would have gimmicks actually suit the setting. Okay, if I hadn't actually seen someone do this, I wouldn't have known that I could do it. Rouge's hint is just so unhelpful here. How are you supposed to know that you can light a torch with Fire Dunk when you've never done it before ever? And how are you supposed to know that you can shoot fire far enough to light that left torch? It just doesn't seem very intuitive, because that's literally the first and only time you'll ever light torches in this game. It's a good thing. Well, do they have an extra mission where you have to light a whole bunch of torches? It would make sense, and it would be tedious. And here, I'm bubbling around because I completely overlooked a high up switch that you have to pull. Yes, another switch that you have to fly up to and press B at exactly the right time to pull. And again, it's high up, so it's easy to just walk right past it because the camera doesn't show it to you. Even though you think that the camera would be higher up, since you're so tall, with like 3 different characters together. But obviously I'm better at the game by this point, so I have an easier time like grabbing it without taking a huge amount of attempts. Unfortunately, these trolley sections are something that I'm never going to not struggle with, because I swear at one point I jumped when Shadow told me to, and I still lost the character. What's the point of having that train right in front of you? Like, can it make you lose your partner too? I mean, it just exploded. At least you get your partners back in sections like this. Like, you get your partners back when sent from one trolley to another, which is good. Oh, wonderful! They put an enemy right in your path. That's great design. But that's far from the only problem with this level.
There's another trolley. Let's get on it.
Like, it really does look like it's going along a rail. So why can't you just grind on that rail? Why are you forced to use the trolley? It's not even a fun gimmick. I mean, it's not even a unique gimmick. Because we already saw it in Bullet Station. And here's another instance where Rouge is the exact opposite of helpful. Because you don't know what you're supposed to do to progress here. There's unlit torches, so you might think that you need to light torches again to progress. But you don't. So how are you supposed to know what to do? Like, this is another section where they dickishly hide switches on you and completely stop your path to progress. So do you need to light torches to progress? Why doesn't Rouge tell you that? Well, I guess, like I said before, yeah, like, thanks for lack of a hint, Rouge. Like, I didn't remember that that was what you're supposed to do to progress, but I guess it was intuitive. If you look at Rouge in Team Dark, like in first person view, she'll actually wink at you. Which I guess makes sense for Shadow, but not for Omega. Is that just her personality now? I mean, that's the only sign she's ever shown pre-flanderization of being a tease. That's stupid. Like, it's like just because of the way that she wears makeup and dresses, they just portray her as a slut now. It feels like they just forgot what her character is all about. She's the conscience of Team Dark. She's the mediator. She's the selfish, materialistic jewel thief femme fatale who's smart and manipulating. I'm lucky that I accidentally pressed B there and broke that blue rectangle thing, because otherwise I would have had no idea that I could break it. I've never seen that before. In SA1, when Knuckles gets onto the egg carrier, remember how he says, "Now we'll see who's easily tricked." Well, in the Japanese version, he just says, "I sneaked in here quite well." Not only is sneaked not really a word, so I don't know if that was the dubber's mistake or if that's really how it was, but that is such a bland and stilted line. Okay, this is a major disappointment, and the perfect way to highlight how Team Dark is nothing but combat. I mean, really? Granted, this is making use of the unique character abilities with Thundershoot, but I was expecting something more, you know, platformy, because it's a platformer, not a beat 'em up. I was I was expecting like you would glide, or well, didn't you glide already with Team Sonic?
I'll take it from here.
Like, I was expecting like you would hit flip panels and break past floors in the power type area, and for the speed type area you would like either use the rocket excel on moving floors, since you don't do that enough, or like you would use the tornado pole. And for the flying type, well, what does the flying type do besides flying and thunder shooting? I'm struggling to think of anything. But like, they could have had this be so much more interesting, but instead,
I'll take it from here.
for Team Dark, it's just so lame. It's just combat. The same thing we've been doing all game. How is this a test of your abilities? I mean, like, this is just the same thing we've been doing all game. And granted, the platforming was the same thing we've been doing all game too, but it was a bit more like you were flying onto platforms that were rising really high and descending really high. Like, it just felt so much more epic with Team Sonic, and that's unacceptable with Team Dark, the hard mode.
Let your guard down just
Once
yet.
again, Team Dark's level ends at the same time as Sonic. Like, in general, Team Dark's levels always end at the same place that Sonic's would in the level design. Like, I was expecting all Team Dark's levels to last 10 minutes and be significantly longer, but that's not really the case.
Now's the time.
They end at the same time as Team Sonic's, which is good.
What do you think, Omega?
Sensors jammed. Real Eggman ID not.
Well, that's convenient, isn't it? It sure is convenient for Metal Sonic that he somehow is able to do this. Shouldn't Omega be suspicious and just assume he's fake just because he's jamming his sensors at all?
You'll regret this, Doctor. Even if I'm not real, I'm still the ultimate life form, Shadow the
That's similar to what he said in SA2, like, even if my memories are not real, it's still me,
We're
Shadow.
flying very high. We might even be
So
at the edge
that's
of
pretty
space.
good for his character.
space. Did you say space?
I don't know why people make fun of that line. It's perfect. I mean, wouldn't you say that in the exact same situation? It's reminding him of the fact that maybe he used to be in space. I don't know why they couldn't have sent Shadow, like, to Earth to show him what it's like. I mean, I guess that would have made Maria jealous, but it's like, she had an excuse for staying on the Ark, but he didn't. But, like, I guess it would have cost too much to bring him down there. So, this is a level that I enjoyed when I first played it, but found it very frustrating when I played it for the second time, which is weird. A lot of times, I'll air dash to my death. And this is why you don't want to homie attack the tornado poles. Not that you can homie attack them, you just air dash into them. You don't really lock on, but the point is you should just use strategy and skill at the game to know when you should homie attack them, when you should tornado them. There's lots of times when, like, I don't think I was trying to homie attack that enemy, but the range is so great, and I didn't want to. See, there, what almost happened was that I did a lightspeed dash, and that sent me into a projectile shot by a cannon. That's going to happen a lot. A lot of times you're going to think that you're being skilled by doing lightspeed dash trails, which are what they're there for, only to be hit by cannons. There's also lots of instances in this level where you're running down speed sections, like long narrow roads. It just spawned in and I fell into it. How was I supposed to avoid that? But yeah, there's lots of instances where speed sections lead you right into cannons, and then they just fire at you. The first 2 minutes of this level suffer from severe checkpoint starvation, and it just makes it all the more obvious when you keep dying before reaching the first checkpoint how Egg Fleet doesn't truly have alternate pathways. I mean, there's plenty of alternate pathways from the beginning, but in the end, all of them lead you to the exact same place. And that means that you're still going to be forced to repeat stuff you already did over and over again on your way to the first checkpoint. Okay, like here with the propeller rides with Team Dark, the problem I have is that like, if Omega decides to be the one talking, it's completely random, sometimes it's Rouge. if Omega says it, then he says descend and ascend. And it takes a little bit longer for you to realize what he means because that's a word that's less common. So that's bad for the reaction time. It's not very good design. And if Rouge decides to be the one talking, then she'll say move down, move up, rather than immediately saying up and down. So again, it takes away from your reaction times because you hear the word move first and not up first. I thought that was so cool. Like lightspeed dashing and then your trail ends and then you can lightspeed dash again. So it requires a lot more skill than most lightspeed dashes where all you do is just do a lightspeed dash and that's it. It's basically just you press a button and then you go forwards through a trail of rings. It's a lot cooler. Like, I just wish every lightspeed dash could be like that. Because that feels a lot more like rewarding strategy. Unfortunately, you still have to deal with constantly having time freeze and you having to wait for the doors to open. And like, again, I've heard that you can press Z to unfreeze time whenever you want, but they don't tell you that. So I don't know how that's good design. Why can't it just unfreeze time, and why can't there just be a Z indicator on the HUD so that you know that you can unfreeze time? I like the rainbow rings there too. But this level design really does look like it's the same from other versions of the level. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, you can't expect, with the length of the levels in Heroes, you can't expect them to have every single team have completely unique level design, because that would take forever to make. And at that point, they might as well just make entirely new levels with different aesthetics for each team, which would take even more development time, though. Because it takes a long time to make levels with different aesthetics. That's why SA2 recycled level design aesthetics so much. So I can accept that. I can accept the repetition feeling as long as it's different level design. The only way that they could really have different level design for each team, entirely different level design for each team, is again if they just split the level into chunks. Like you take a 10-minute long level of Team Dark and you split it into 4 pieces, and each of the teams goes through their own individual 4-piece. As a result, the level is a quarter as long as it would be for all 4 teams. And I guess you might argue, oh, but longer levels are more suited for Team Dark, so it would be bad for Team Dark to have a level that's like 2 minutes long. And I say bullshit. That's supposed to be the length of a Sonic level in 3D. And even in 2D, didn't Sonic 1 have the first level of the game be like 19 seconds long? So I don't know why short levels in Sonic are at all bad. That's true to the classic Sonic spirit to have short levels. Admittedly that was the first level, but even Scrap Rain Zone, I don't remember it taking like over 5 minutes. I don't really remember how long it took though, but I know it didn't ever drag out for me. See? Move down. Why can't you just immediately say down? And then, oh, then Omega says it. I thought it was a case where they would decide to have one character talk to you, warn you for the entire thing. But no, it can alternate between Rouge and Omega. That's also bad, because that means you have to adjust to even more your reaction times, or slow down even more by, like, maybe it's one character or maybe it's not. So, in SA1, Tikal says in the next vision, as opposed to saying, they came, and my father, I had no idea how bad this would turn out. I'm shocked. Which is kind of stilted. She, instead, in Japanese script she says, Father and the others finally came here, but I never imagined they would all turn out like this. There we go. That's the line. So it's definitely much better in the Japanese version. It's a lot less stilted and cut up into chunks. Like, she never would have imagined it all turn out like this. Although the last line of her sentence in the American script is pretty good.
Don't take it from me.
And when Sonic sees Knuckles at the egg carrier, instead of saying, I thought you got lost or something, instead he just says, you're late. Well, something like that. So I guess that also implies resentment. And again, the old dialogue is completely unchanged in the Japanese script. In the ending monologue, Knuckles says, maybe I'm better off not knowing what all this means. Because I feel like something will happen if I do. What will happen? We never know. That's a dangling plot thread.